Hey guys, have you heard people talking about how much harder it is to promote your content on social media sites? This is something that I've actually been noticing for a very long time. Like, I started seeing the seeds of this like 7 years ago, and I found it discouraging then, but it's interesting as people are talking about this, like the way they're thinking about it because originally we wrote content on a blog post. We published it there and then we went to social media, shared a link, and wow, it worked, right? Then it got harder and harder because everybody was doing exactly the same thing. And social media platforms got smart. They started figuring out that if somebody posted a link, it took people off of their platform. And they didn't want that, so they changed their algorithms. If somebody shares a link in a post, and I'm suspicious, probably comments too, um, they would not promote that post. So you weren't getting the eyeballs on your post, you weren't getting the traffic to your website. And of course, this is the game. We keep trying to outsmart the algorithm, and the algorithm catches up and slows us down. Right now, content promotion is pretty much pay to play. If you don't pay to promote your content, it's just not going to happen. That's what I'm observing, but I'm really fascinated by this conversation because there's this age old question. I say age old because digital marketing and content marketing and all of that isn't really that old. When we started content marketing, the big rule was why would you build on somebody else's property? And so the idea was publish on your website, only use these other sites to promote. And like I said, that was working. It was working very well for a long time. These days it's not. So clearly we need to come up with a different strategy. And, the question is it still a bad thing to publish on rented land, which is kind of the way they phrase that. And I was thinking about what life was like before the digital world came to be, back when everything was analog. Um, Nobody had a website. That didn't even exist. Nobody was promoting their content on social media. Everything was pay to play. Everything. So there was no uh, blog where you could publish your own content. There was always some kind of a gatekeeper out there. There was also always another channel outside of your physical building where you promoted your message, because it wasn't about content, it was your message. And that's really what content is anyway, isn't it? It's us talking about what we do, sharing our message, trying to generate interest in what we do. Back in the olden days, the way we did that, and I say we loosely, I was very young, um, you would have a physical building and we would actually, you know what, it wasn't that long ago. um, because back in 2007, when I was working in a physical marketing department, and I was pushing them to collect emails, and they would say, no, 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 our audience isn't, they don't have email addresses. We don't have any way of collecting that information. So we didn't actually do email campaigns. We were developing our blog, we were beginning to publish content on the website, but most of our marketing was still rather analog because this was that transition period. So actually, I can speak to this from personal experience, like we did this, but I'm going to take it even further back to when I was a kid. And back then, companies were in this physical building. They, like I said, they didn't have a website. They might decide, okay, we want to publish a magazine, and they would send that magazine. Or a lot of companies, say Sears, J.C. Penney's, retail, they had a catalog. And ooh, the Christmas catalog was so much fun because that was where you got to browse through all the products and put in your order for the things you wanted. But if you wanted to get a message in front of people, You could send out a newsletter, and by this, it's a physical print newsletter that went out in the mail. You could, the whole thing about big mailing packages, that where you would get this package in the mail and this big long magalog or sales page and all the little inserts of all the extra stuff you'd get if you responded. So physical mail. There was also radio, television, billboards. All of these, they were channels. We didn't look at those as rented property, even though, yes, you paid a fee to get something on a billboard, or you paid the advertising rate to sponsor a television show or get your ad on the Super Bowl. We still do, right? Um, these were just channels. So I wonder if this whole argument of we're not going to put our content on rented land, I think we've reached a point of maturation where marketing for, it was the wild, wild west in the early days of digital marketing. Nothing was mature. We were figuring it out. So we were imitating analog marketing and also inventing digital marketing. And the two kind of blurred together. We forgot that marketing was supposed to be paid for because we could do so many things for free. We could publish a blog post, go put a post on Twitter, and get tons of traffic. And today I read a post that was like, oh, what they were saying, Facebook and X, formerly Twitter, they're not getting the results anymore. And they showed a graph of this steep decline of traffic, website traffic coming from social media, but they really were talking about these old social media platforms, ones that many people are leaving. The audience is changing. They've got old features rather than some new exciting features that can actually help you do some interesting things with content promotion. I'm finding that if we rethink this whole thing, it's not the end of the world. We are in this period of transition, whereas 20 years ago, digital was, it really was the wild, wild west. It really was us learning and figuring out what works in this new medium, this new way of connecting with our audiences. But it's grown up. Here we are, 20 years later, we've got it figured out. Technology has caught up and is actually pulling us behind it. We are having to pay to play, so it's beginning to look more and more like analog marketing used to look. We have to find our message, and now we can publish it on our website, but our website is very much like the physical building used to be. It's where everything is housed. I'm finding, whereas I used to say 10 years ago, I said, don't treat your website like a brochure. These days, I'm starting to think maybe that's mostly what it is. It is your physical building. It's the location of your business. It's your brochure. It's where you put your landing pages and your messaging and help people get to know you. But if you're publishing content on your website and just publishing it and saying, whoop, there it is, let me share a link, that's not going to work because nobody is browsing websites for the fun of it. We're scrolling through TikTok. We're spending an afternoon on YouTube. We're listening to podcasts. There is social media, and then there are all these channels where we can share our content, where we actually not share content, we can create our content on these platforms. So rather than your website being the place of creativity, you're creating on these other platforms. You're getting your message in front of people where they're at. They're on social media, they're listening to podcasts, they're watching videos. If we're not getting our message in front of the audience, we're not marketing properly, because that's rule number one. find your audience, put your message in front of them in whatever way is native to that channel. So back in the olden days, when they put a commercial on a television show, because there were local channels, I see there were like 5 or 7 channels that we had. There was a TV guide. Every day we would look at the guide. What's on TV today? Which channel will I tune into? Well, that's kind of what they're doing today. That my daughter loves podcasts. She will tune in to specific podcasts. And the nice thing is it streams these days. We can turn it on when we want. We can watch on we don't need the TV guide anymore, right? But used to, people would pick the show based on who was watching that show. And they would customize their message to fit, to look like it belonged on that show. So they might create 3 commercials and put them in 3 time slots on 3 different shows. Same commercial, or not same commercial, same message, tweaked to fit that time slot and that audience. That's where we are now. So, we went through this whole phase of create one piece of content, cut it up, splice it into 100 pieces, but people are already onto that. If you're creating one piece of content and sharing it everywhere, it sounds amazing, but first of all, it's actually a lot of work. And second of all, people stop paying attention because everywhere they go, you're repeating yourself. And they're like, I've heard that. We need to train them to listen. We need to train them to pay attention. And the best way to do that is to teach them that every time we show up, they'll get something special. That means create content for the channel. Create content for that specific audience. Create it to where it looks like it belongs. We called it native content a few years ago. I'm back to native content. I'm probably going to recycle content and create one piece and chop it up and share it in a couple of different places. But I'm also looking at ways I can make it unique to the channel. You can take one message and create several pieces. So for instance, this video is one piece about this topic. I may or may not splice it up. More than likely, I'll create a 1-minute version that can go on TikTok and Instagram. That's more likely. I'll probably create a story, a photo or teaser about it that hopefully will send people here. Then I'll do a written piece for Facebook and LinkedIn. There are so many different ways we can create content and so many ways we can promote it. But ultimately, it's not about the content. I think this whole argument is off base because we're acting like we need to promote our content. Content distribution, put it everywhere, create your content and distribute it. But that's not the point, is it? Why are we creating content in the first place? We're creating content to promote our business, to promote our brand and our products. That's the point. And that's why your content needs to be on other platforms, on other channels. Think of it analog. Let's borrow a few tips from analog, update them, modernize them with technology and all the stuff we do today, and come up with something unique for today. The tactics that have been working for content marketers for the last 10 years are not going to work anymore. I've been noticing that. It's one of the reasons I actually slowed down creating content. I kind of wanted to get my feet under me, to know what was happening before I continued spending too much time on something that actually wasn't working. And I'm starting to see what's possible, but I think this is the core. We made content marketing the point, and content marketing is a tool. It's a strategy. It's not the point. The point is to talk about your business, your offers, the transformation you are providing for your customers. Content is the way you do that. It doesn't need to live on your website. It can live anywhere. You can create content anywhere. Just make sure it's in front of the right people at the right time with the right message. And then you're going to win the game. Don't think like everybody else. When everybody's zigging, you need to zag. When everybody is flocking to LinkedIn for this one special way of doing things, don't do that. Come up with something different, something unique. Take the time, pull back if you need to, like I've done for the last couple of years. Rethink everything you're doing. You need to know why you're doing it, what you need to say about it, how you say that thing, and then where are the people who need to hear it. It doesn't matter how you create content. What matters is that you get your message in front of the right people. And that's the point. That's what this game is all about. If you play that game well, it doesn't matter how much this changes. Okay, so we need to put a few dollars behind it now. I'm not doing it yet, but I'm getting really close. I'm gearing up for that because that really is where we're at. We are now at a place where marketing is very much like it used to be before digital even became a thing. So we're going to have to borrow some of those tactics. Look back at what the madmen used to do. I bet we could learn a few things. And then keep modernizing, keep adapting, keep innovating, because that is ultimately the point.